All right, here we go. Yeah. Look, man, we did it. Facebook Live. Help a Teacher Facebook Live every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. It was a little listen, I think I'm pretty proud of my technology abilities getting this one worked out. We are on live. Here we go. Let's get into this thing. And we're running a little late, so I'm going to speed through some announcements. The first one is we coming up. This is it. I can't believe it's already here. So on Wednesday, I am going to be live in Corpus Christi, Texas. It is the Teach Go Rockstar event, open event to the public in Corpus, February 12th. Listen, we have I don't even know, maybe 12, 13 seats available. So if there's any last minute folks that want to jump on that, we absolutely would love to have you. And so what you do, go to halbowman.com, and there's links everywhere to get registered. All right, what else? Oh, today, listen, we have we're giving away free stuff. I love it when we give away free stuff. We have we're giving away 3 books. The Pencil Eater. This is what I said last week. Here's what people know. 3 people now last week, they get to find out where all those pencils went. I don't know about you, but in my teaching career, I have gone through like national farce worth of pencils. And I wonder, how do they disappear? Well, listen, Stacy Corrigan knows. She knows all about it. She wrote a book about the Pencil Eater and where all those pencils go. We're going to give away 3 of those tonight. It's like my latest favorite children's book, and you're going to love it. I hope you win it. What else we're going to give away is again, as always, the beautiful people at the Craig Newmark Philanthropies. I don't even know what to say. How awesome is this whole crew? We're giving away tonight 3 gift cards, $100 each. You get to pick. You can have an Amazon card or you get the Target card. And it's for you. It's whatever you need for your classroom. Go have a field day on a spending spree. The beautiful people over at Craig Newmark Philanthropies are amazing. And I here's what I love. What I love about the Help a Teacher Facebook page. It gives people an opportunity to give back to all those people that gave to them and served as their teachers. The one profession that teaches the rest of the professions. Wrap your noggin around that if you can. All right, let's get into it tonight. So we have I have a goal for tonight, and here's my secret goal. Now, don't tell this guy I told you this. So Adam Dovico is about to join us, and all right, here's my secret behind the scenes. Don't you tell him. So I know this dude is really good buddies with Nesloni, right? And they're like besties. Okay. I'm going to steal this guy from Nesloni. So here's my secret agenda. I'm going to have 2 besties that they're not even going to know. And I'm going to make Todd my bestie. Now I'm making this guy Adam my bestie behind their backs. They're thinking they're friends, but really it's all going to go through me. It's this trifecta of friendship. And all right, so that's my hidden agenda. Let me tell you about Adam. This dude, I'm reading this bio and I'm thinking, man, I got to get busy with my life. I got to add some things. He's got so much going on. This dude, world-renowned teacher, principal, author, speaker, professor, what? So he begins his career in North Carolina, and somehow, I can't wait to figure out this story, he works his way into RCA, the Ron Clark Academy, where he was the school implementation specialist. I can't even say implementation. I'm not sure I could ever do that job. I think you have to say it to do it. And then, so now he's on the road. He's doing the Get Your Teach On thing that everybody loves. And he's back at Wake Forest. He's preparing our next generation of educators. And man, I'm so fired up to have this dude join us. What's up, Adam, man? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Now we had some technical difficulties, but right before we kicked this thing off, you said that you were from New Jersey.
I am born and raised Jersey boy, 18 years.
Dude,
Exit
I heard
151.
It in the voice. Yeah. So now tell me, what town is that again?
So the town is Bloomfield.
All right.
151 though, you can make a right into Clifton or left into Bloomfield, but only Jersey people know that kind of stuff. So
I know.
It's just how we talk.
Yeah, I know. I love it. And the other day I was trying. It was very unsuccessful, but I was trying to explain the Mummers thing to somebody. The Mummers Parade in Philadelphia, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to explain the spectacle of the event and the feathers and the whole thing and the strut, and they were just looking at me like, "Are you insane?" I'm trying to. Then I just kind of gave up, and I ended up sending them a video so they would know what I was talking about. Hey man,
We're,
so let me ask you: when you were growing up in New Jersey,
mhm.
uh, like I don't know about your neighborhood, but where I grew up is like the last thing you told people you're going to grow up and be a teacher.
Yeah, Jersey was just kind of different. I mean, growing up, it was a really cool town I grew up in, and we kind of had like every walk of life in the town, which was neat. And my dad, I don't know how I became an educator, to be honest. My dad is like a business dude. My mom was she like did embroidery and sewing and stuff, and so I have no idea how I ended up in education, but it was just kind of fell into my lap, and it's worked out. I think we're
Man,
working out.
did you have one of those moments where you were growing up and was it one of those things where there was somebody in your life that had that kind of an impact and you thought, man, I want to do that for somebody?
Later on, I think it got solidified. So early on, actually, when I was in like maybe first grade, I don't know, I'll say first grade. I have a younger brother; he's 2 years younger, and so when I was in like kindergarten or first grade, I'd come home from school and he wasn't even in school yet, and I would like start making him tests, like stuff whatever I was learning, and then
Right.
I would make him do it because I was the older brother, so I had the power over him, and then I would like grade it just like my teacher did with like remember those like Mr. Sketch markers, like
Yes.
you take off the marker, you sniff it. I always used the cherry red one, and I guess that was my first introduction to teaching, not knowing that I was going to be a teacher. But later on, I had a fifth grade teacher, Mr. Bruns, and he kind of solidified that, yeah, like I could see myself doing this. And you know, from that point forward, it was just kind of meant to be.
Yeah. I think it's, for young boys at that age, when you have a significant male role model, especially right there, third, fourth, fifth grade,
Mm-hmm.
it's a life changer. In fourth grade, I had Mr. McKnone. This dude
Yeah.
drove a Trans Am. Yeah, he was like the only male teacher in the school, and it was one of those like the fireboat had the big decal on
Oh
the
yeah.
on the hood.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, oh my goodness, and he was in charge of the safety patrol, and I thought, man, if I could grow up and be in charge of the safety patrol, I'd have it made.
Nothing better in life. But yeah, I mean, so I ended up teaching fifth grade just like Mr. Bruns, and yeah, I still remember it. Remember it like it was yesterday.
And then, how long did you teach before you went over to RCA?
So I was teaching slash. I did a little stint as a curriculum coordinator as well. So about 6 years.
Yeah.
So after about 6 years in North Carolina, just got a really great opportunity to go down to Atlanta and work down at the Ron Clark Academy. Started out as a teacher there, taught fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade current events and social studies, and then seventh grade math. So
How did you originally get hooked up with those gangsters down there? I mean, those guys. I mean, that is like a spectacle.
So I actually went down there as a visitor. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, working, and my principal at the time sent a group of us down there just to check it out. And I got back from the day from the training and was exhilarated and like this
Yeah.
big bolt of energy, and you just feel really good. And so I checked out their website just to learn a little bit more about the school, and I saw that they were hiring a teacher for the next year. And with the blessing of my wife, she let me like just kind of try it. And lo and behold, I got to go down there, interview, do a model lesson, and the rest is history, I guess, as they say.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: is so many teachers go there and they get so fired up, and it is inspiring, man. And I think they have what I think the trouble is they can't figure out what that would look like in their own school. Do you know what I mean? Like they see this whole thing, like, oh my gosh, it's like going to Disneyland. How do I bring back Disneyland? And what I always say, people like find one thing and do that really amazingly well. Don't worry about the slide. Don't worry about you don't need the stage right now today. Just find one thing. And like what were you telling people when they would go back and say like where do I start and how do I implement any of this?
Well, that's actually how I got my job. I guess the second part of that job, in addition to teaching, the whole school implementation thing, that gig came from literally people going to the school and then kind of asking that same question that you just said, like, what do I do now? And so after schools came through this, came through the training, they had an opportunity to kind of bring me out to their school. And then from there, I asked more questions than I gave information. I know that sounds weird, but every school has its own unique history and culture. And so for me to just go in and say, this is how you're going to do it would not be fair or appropriate. So when I went to schools, honestly, I asked more questions than I did give information. And so once we kind of dug deeper and kind of saw where is that school, because you got to remember, like a school with a first year principal, with a big culture shift versus a school that's been at it for 10, 20 years with the same leadership and teachers, they're in very different places.
Oh yeah.
And so going into a school, I learned very quickly how to kind of be a chameleon and adjust and learn what was going on at a school in order to best help them. And that opportunity paid dividends to every other thing I've done in my life. Just learning how to talk to people, how to adjust on the fly, how to adapt to different situations, and how to really just kind of look at a situation and assess it, and then try to tackle it.
It's funny. I mean, like just you describing that. I mean, what you're describing is teaching, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
teaching to people that you don't know. I guess
Yeah.
that's the crazy part.
How long were you there?
So I was there for 4 years, and then my family, we had to move. Dude, my wife entered medical school and then residency, and so we moved. But yeah, I have a really great relationship with the school, and even past after I officially left, I still get to go down and help, and just have it whenever they need help. I'm always happy to go down, and so people still kind of see me down there sometimes. They're like, "Wait, do you still work here?" And it's no, it's just if they need a little bit of help, I'm always happy to go down. It's a great place, great people, great opportunity for people to either visit or work there.
Yeah, what would you say is one of the defining things that separates that campus from others in terms of culture? When I'm visiting campuses, and I'm on hundreds of campuses across the nation every year, and I'm always looking for when I find this like a magical place, and they're everywhere. That's like the crazy thing. I mean, yeah, I get it, like the RCA thing, that the Disney World, I love that for sure, but there are amazing campuses everywhere that are just mind-blowingly good. And I'm always looking for that one differentiation factor. Like, what is it about this place that makes it so special? And for you, what do you see out there? Like, when you find a magical campus, what is it that you see that really sets them apart?
For me at least, it's the leadership and the vision that they cast. Because here's the reality. I mean, Ron Clark Academy, for instance, it's been around, what, 11 or so years now? No, more than that, 13 years. And so the kids have changed, obviously, because they graduate. Teachers have changed over time. But the culture that Ron Clark and Kim Bearden have set has remained stagnant. And that's a good thing in this situation because it's such high expectations. It's such a culture that when you go to work there or you go to be a student there, it's not a matter of what do I expect. You know what to expect. And so I bring this now to kind of what you asked with, like, when you walk into a school, how do you, like, what sets it apart, what sets it differently? It's just common expectations and a vision that's been cast out there that everyone, they don't necessarily always agree with it, because as you know, in public school, it's a big campus. Sometimes you got a lot of different personalities and experiences, but when people at least believe in supporting that mission and vision, that's when I see the really special places.
Yeah. I agree, man. What's my experience? It's the same thing, and what I love in addition to all that is how fast it can turn around. I think sometimes we get this idea where this is going to be a 4 or 5 or 6 year turnaround process, and I'm telling you, man, once that vision is articulated clearly, and teachers are allowed to invest in that vision, and they get excited, everyone's passionate, they're on the same page, and everyone feels that they are making a difference, that they're playing a significant role in that campus. It's like an overnight experience. It's crazy how effective it can be.
Oh, I always compare it to, when you find something that you personally like, whether it's music, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a hobby, you invest in it. And so when I go to a campus, or for me, when I was a principal, my mission was to set something clear enough where people were excited about it. And again, I understand not everyone's always going to believe it or me, but if you can support what we're doing as a whole, we can move forward. And so when, you get people excited about something, it's magical what can be done.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is I'm just scrolling through messages here,
Yeah.
and there's Cami, and she's, how do you motivate teachers that are stuck in the old way of teaching, and the ones that really don't want to build a relationship or change. And that's a huge question. And what I would say that oftentimes that is a symptom of the real problem, which is what we're talking about right now. Like, if they're not on a campus where that passion is there and talked about, and they have the leadership in place, sometimes we see those kind of symptoms. But even when it's a great leader and great culture, there's still people that get stuck
Oh yeah.
in
Oh,
in in
absolutely.
what how would you answer that question? you,
I get that
you
question a lot.
yeah, you go
It's a
first and
pretty,
I'll go.
yeah, it's a pretty common question that I face is, what do you do, especially when, when I used to go out to schools, or when I still go out to schools and I work with staffs, and you could just see it, you're talking in front, and you do it all the time. You
Yeah.
look out into a sea of people, and you could just see the people that don't want to be there. You could see the people that have no interest in making any changes. And so I say, okay, look, you don't have to listen to a single word that I say today. You don't have to believe in a thing that I do. But when you go back to that classroom tomorrow or whenever it's going to be, believe in those kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, whatever you're doing, do what's best for them. And whatever that looks like. And look, for some people, that old way of teaching, and that's a pretty broad definition as well, because not all old things are bad, by the way.
Nope.
There's many great traditional things that you can do, but it's about the engagement, the relationships, and really digging down, making sure that you're pushing kids,
Yeah.
getting them to be the thinkers, student-led classrooms, getting them to do the work.
For me, man, is this is the question that comes to Palat when I'm doing like the back to school, the convocation thing, and they want
Yeah.
me to come in and do like 45 minutes or an hour and 15. And so that's where the call starts, and I will beg them for a full day. Like it's the same, like if I'm coming to your town, man, let's do a full day. Do your convocation, get your cheerleaders, do the pom poms, have a fourth grader say the pledge, somebody sing a song, do the rah rah thing. But and I tell them, listen, man, like I can tell people, I can do an hour, and that's going to reaffirm everybody that's already passionate and already loving it. But it takes time with those teachers that are stuck. And for me, what it's been, I think, truly effective, it takes time. It takes a full day, but it's helping them identify what they really want for their kids. Like, what's the real lesson of the classroom? Because they know that if they're teaching, history or geography, that's not really it. Like, what's the ultimate lesson you want for your kid that they're going to think about 30 years from now? And really digging down into the why. Like, why are you here? Like, why these kids in this school, in your class? Why? And helping them really dig into that and identify that. And here's the other thing, I don't think that as school leaders, we're giving teachers enough evidence that it's working, like that they're making a difference in the life of a kid. Because if they had the evidence and they could see every day that this is really working, man, I mean, there's so much passion and excitement every day in a school like that.
Well, isn't that one of those frustrating parts of teaching? Sometimes you don't see the fruits of your labor until years and years later, and it can be heartwarming and heart wrenching all at the same time to see sometimes, like, oh, why didn't they make that change? But they do. It's just down the line a little bit.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm stuck on Cammy. She's chiming in, but I can't help her. I'm
Hey,
loving her. Hey,
Kevin.
listen. So what she says, and I see this all the time, is, man, is my school leadership wants relationship, but
Mhm.
some teachers don't believe in the power. But in addition to that, sometimes I hear like administrators talk about it, but they don't give their teachers time and opportunity to build those relationships because it's all about content and delivering and trying to stuff more knowledge into the noggin.
Well, and you got to do guided reading from 9:23 to
Right.
10:15, and then guided math from
Yeah.
10:16 to, yeah, I mean, I've seen it all, and I feel for them. And that's why, I mean, you got to be, I guess, a little bit sneaky at times. How do you sneak in those moments? And don't get me wrong, too. Like, even during a guided reading lesson or a, lecture lesson, you could still be building those relationships, of course. But yeah, sometimes you do have to find those little sneaky moments to find those, one-on-one pieces with the students, and find that time,
Yeah.
which is not always given during that instructional day.
The thing is, man, like I think once they have the evidence, and they have that emotional connection of the proof that they made a difference in the life of a kid.
Hmm.
Man, it's to see the transformation of an educator. It's immediate and dramatic.
Yeah, it's something that, sometimes we take it for granted, I think, as well. And here's one of the things to remember, like we were just talking in the beginning of our little chat here, like thinking back to our time in school, and we all remember our favorite teachers.
Yeah.
And for me personally, like I want kids to remember me positively. And actually, it's funny, right before we went on tonight, I got a message on Facebook Messenger from a teacher in a neighboring county of mine, and she messaged me with a question about a student, one of my former students when I was a principal. And I mean, it really touched my heart. She had some very nice things to say about what he had said about me. And so again, like who would have known that when I had this kid, a couple years back, he would reference me a couple years later in middle school. And so, you don't always know, but you're going to be remembered for something. I just hope for me that it's something positive, because it could be very negative as well.
Yeah. And I think, man, here's I think sometimes we need to be reminded that we're not always going to see the evidence. Like right now, this isn't a right now gig. We're not going to have a mountaintop, hallelujah moment every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times, and now that you're old like me, is like you have these kids come back,
Hairline's going back.
right? You have these kids come back, man, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I'll never forget." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You didn't even like that class." No, I loved it. No, man, you hate it. You told me and I think that we forget that they're kids, and
Yeah.
like rolling their eyes is part of what they do,
Yeah.
and we're not really going to know the impact that we've had until years and years later, if ever. But I just know it's there.
Yeah, it's there, but I completely agree with you. How many students who you'll never hear from again?
Exactly.
You'll never know what they're doing or what they did. And I don't know, is that just like a leap of faith then? I guess you just hope that
All
it
right,
turns out well.
here it is for me. This is how I know it's working. All right, so I know because it's the kids that were the most challenging for me, and the ones I was convinced that I did nothing for that kid. I mean, I don't know. That was a waste of 9 months for that one. Sorry, brother, but that's the first kid to come back. I say, "Oh my God, thank you." I'm like, "What? What?"
Yeah.
So it lets me know that was the one I thought I was convinced that I wasn't getting in, and the other ones, they're they're, they're going to be fine. And I have to remind myself, I am not in this for my ego. For some
Right.
kid, thank you so much. Like I'm not in it for that. I'm in it to make a difference in the world. And if I never get to hear about that, I'm fine with that. I'm good with that.
I hear you. I'm with you.
Yeah, man. I think you know what it is. I've been thinking a lot about this. I think that's the trade off. Like if you're in some other profession where if you're a chef
Mhm.
and you make this amazing meal and people are like, wow, that was the best thing I've ever had in my life. It's immediate. It feels great. The gratification is right there. But you know what? That family leaves the restaurant. You're not going to see them again. And it was a meal and they're over it. And now they're home watching, they're binging Cheer on Netflix. Well, but like that's the trade-off. Like as a teacher, the difference that you make, you're not going to get that immediate gratification, but the impact lasts forever. And you have to make a deal with yourself. Am I willing to make a trade? And I'm willing, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm actually taking a grad class right now just for some fun. It's called Schools and Democracy, and so we're on this big John Dewey kick right now. And so I've read way more John Dewey than I ever knew existed. But one of his big things was creating citizens. He couldn't care less about the curriculum per se. Back there were no standards back 100 years ago when he was writing this stuff. But other than the marketable skills that people needed to have back in those days. But his big thing was, equality of education. He was so far ahead of his time. All the discussions that we have now with just more equity in schools,
Yeah.
not the division of where your zip code is, and much like it was 100 years ago when he was around, because it was literally white landowning males who got the the highest education. Everyone else did not. But, you know, to much of an extent, this democracy in school is still kind of is a very relevant issue today. And so for me, you know, like this whole Dewey concept is, you know, making sure that we build these citizens that are going to be well-rounded, caring about the future or the current society that we're in. We're always talking about building the future. How about getting the current society correct? And you know, so I've been kind of highly influenced recently by a lot of those readings.
Yeah. Man, I've had a lot of thought about that recently, and I've done some other podcasts and conversations with some guys and ladies, and what I've come to realize is what I hope we could do a better job of is allowing teachers become more honest and self-aware of who their population is that they identify with best and they're most effective with. You know, I think sometimes we ask everybody to, you know, just get into any classroom in any zip code and go be amazing. And I think it's okay for a teacher to realize, hey man, like for me, I just don't do well with upper middle class kids. I don't know. I don't identify. It's just not my group, man. I don't like it. I could probably do well at it, but what I love a more challenging population because it's not challenge for me. Like I love it. Like I love the puzzle. I love trying to figure it out. But I see teachers down the hall for me that this isn't their group, man. Go find your kids. These aren't your kids.
Yeah, and I don't know. So again, having kind of traveled to so many different schools and seen so many types of schools and teachers, I think there are some overlapping skill sets and engagement techniques
For
and
sure.
just and habits that are going to work across the board. But I concur with you that, you know, you do need to be in the right mindset to teach in certain areas to be able to be successful, whatever that's supposed to mean, I guess. But at the end of the day, we'll go back to that word we said before, the whole relationship thing. I mean, man, if you can't build a relationship with a kid, no matter what their zip code is, it's probably not the right profession.
Yeah. And I think it is, man. Like you got to love it. Like for some of the schools, like you have to absolutely love it if you're going to work there and last. You know, it's that hard. And those teachers are out there and they're everywhere. It's amazing.
A good teacher is a good teacher is a good teacher. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen it time and time and time again.
Hey, so tell me about the get your teach on thing, man. What is this? This is crazy.
Man, it is crazy. It's nuts. So about 3 years ago, my dear friends, Hope and Wade King and Deanna Jump, they started this thing called Get Your Teach On, and it started off as a little conference with a couple hundred people, and has now grown to, man, national conference last year we had 4,200 people in Texas, and I think this year we're going to be over 5,000 in Orlando. So it just keeps growing and growing, but it's this really cool, just kind of grassroots effort from made by teachers, for teachers, from teachers. I mean, everyone is kind of in that same realm, and it's just neat. It's a collaboration. That I hate saying the word conference because it implies this like dispersal of knowledge, and I mean, none of us there are any better than anyone else, and it's really about learning from each other. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I've learned just as much from meeting and talking to the people there than I could have ever given to anyone. So it's been fun. And actually, this week we're going to Houston. We'll be in Houston on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for Get Your Teach On. And then you referenced my good buddy, Todd Nesloni. He and I do a Get Your Lead On, which is kind of embedded in that. And he and I will be in Houston for that. And then we're going to Denver as well.
Yeah.
So.
You know, when you see the pictures of the Get Your Teach On thing, it's like, what are they doing in there? Are they serving margaritas? What is happening? And then
Man, that'd be nice. But so here's my disclaimer, and I want to make this very, very clear. So pictures and videos, they are like slivers of
right.
the experience, and sometimes that like freaks people out. One of my good friends who's just starting to present with us, she was so intimidated to get up there and present because before she ever got there, all she had seen were pictures and videos, and she's like, I can't do this for like an hour and a half. I said, no, 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 no. Those pictures are slivers.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. We are getting into deep content, and I mean, yes, it's engaging. You can call it fun if you want as well, but it's like deep stuff, and it requires critical thinking and reflection and analysis of what you're doing. So I don't want anyone listening thinking that like we're going to be dancing and
Yeah.
like shooting confetti off the whole time. That's like slivers of the grand picture of everything. But with all that being said, look, it's the craziest experience of a conference I've ever been to. The thought and the planning and the execution of it is just beyond belief. Many props to Hope and Deanna and the whole team that kind of puts this together, because it takes a lot of time and effort and innovation.
I had the with my whole Teaching a Rockstar event, it's the I've had that just because of the name. People like, what are we gonna play air guitar? And
Yeah.
and like it has nothing to do with anything about Rockstar thing. When I came up with it, I just wanted something to be different. And like I knew I didn't want an apple in my logo. I didn't want a schoolhouse, for the A. Like I
Yeah.
wanted something unlike anybody's, because traditionally staff development, professional development for educators has been so poor. And how many times have I shown up to some conference like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be the good one, and 8 minutes in, I'm already texting my wife like, I think I might die in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell the kids I love them. And so, but still to this day, even though I've been on the road for 10 years, I still come across superintendents. Well, I don't want all that fluff. It's like, look, man, like yes, is it fun? Of course it's fun, but it's research-based, results-driven strategies that work for kids. That's why it's been around, man. But let me ask you. So here's what I love is the fact that you guys, it's created by teachers for teachers, and like how many like this is like you go to schools all the time, and how many times you've been to a school and walking down the hallway and you look in some classroom and there's some like world-class educator and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that is one of the best teachers I've ever seen, and they're in some small town in the middle of nowhere.
I've said that so many times in so many towns in so many states. It is true. There are
Yeah.
amazing teachers everywhere. And I don't know how in the world I got lucky enough to kind of start getting, these opportunities. But man, there are so many people that should be in this seat right now talking way better than I can, because there are so many amazing rock star teachers out there. It's nuts. I mean, legitimately, I've said that is the best teacher I've ever seen so many times, and I guess after a while it
Yeah.
needs to, it needs to be rephrased. But
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It is ridiculous. And I see it all the time. And listen, I love going to schools. I for sure love doing events. I was at a school today. We're going to do the Teaching Rockstar on Wednesday. April, can't wait to see you there. And but at the same time, I think we lose sight of the world-class professional development that can be had in our school on any day because of the educators on that campus. I don't think we give enough opportunity to get in front of other teachers and share their expertise.
Well, I'd tell you that was one of my big priorities when I was a principal. I'm just having come from this world of professional development and knowing the amount of talent that was inside my own school. I'll tell you real quick two very specific things that we did just to kind of entice that. One was vertical observations, and so I was able to during a grade levels common planning time to bring them into a grade below and a grade above. That way we can kind of see where the kids are coming from and then where they are going to. And at the same time, also getting to see really great teachers. We also did peer-to-peer observations in the same grade level. So I was able to get some money for subs, and I was able to put people, and I made it a volunteer basis for this, but if you wanted to go see someone on your own grade level, you could request that. I was able to get some subs and put them in that way. The second thing we did where we had some early release days where we had, like a few hours to do, basically whatever PD we wanted in-house. And a lot of schools, they just kind of made it like another meeting day.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of took advantage of the opportunity, and we did our own little kind of mini ed camp. If you're familiar with ed camps, I let my teachers take control. They got to submit kind of what they wanted to talk about, And so we just had a bunch of concurrent sessions, and teachers got to go wherever they wanted. And, I always did feedback after these things. And without a doubt, that was the highest rated PD that we ever did, were the basically in-house mini ed camp sessions. I called it an educator playground.
Yeah. I mean, man, there's so many great ideas out there like that. And it's funny, to be on the road and unfortunately, because of social media and because you get a video that goes viral or something, there's just like this weird educational, like they put, like you've been put on a pedestal, or Todd or whoever. But deep down inside, in our hearts, we all know, like, that's the big secret behind the thing. Like, we're like, you're going to class, you're still learning. I'm trying to figure some things out, man. I'm trying to become better. Like, it's this nonstop pursuit of trying to be better at this art of teaching. And I think that might be one of the things that we all have in common. Those great teachers around the nation, is the one thing that I've realized they all have in common is they're all trying to be a better teacher constantly.
And that's, I think that's the magic. People always want the magic dust. What's the magic, answer? And it's that desire to keep getting better and keep learning. And I don't know if you could teach that. Like, I don't know if that's something that someone like can all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, I'm all of a sudden going to get better. But for me, at least, when I was hiring people, that's the trait I looked for the most. I called it the competitive edge. So you can kind of see the parallels between that and wanting to get better. But I looked for people. I actually I put this out on Twitter yesterday. Actually, I put a tweet out and I said, when I was looking to hire, I wanted people who were competitive, because that competitiveness transcends so many different things in their day-to-day life and profession. It makes them, I think, a better person.
Yeah, that's kind of the RCA thing too. They have like that. That's part of their whole program, is that competitive nature as well.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, especially if you teach middle school or high school, where you like team teach, if you're in elementary school and you team teach, like, the kids you're teaching right now are going to go to another teacher in an hour or so. Like, I don't want that, and you're going to get another class too. I didn't want to be the teacher that kids were like, "Oh, I got to go to his class now," or the class that they're like, yes, it's over. So, like, yeah, there is a little bit of competitiveness to it. I mean, for me at least, I wanted to be the teacher that they were excited to go to, or that they hated leaving.
Yeah.
So, yes, at the Ron Clark Academy, there are a whole school of teachers like that have that little competitive edge.
And here's the thing about the competitive component for me is, I'll be the first one to admit, I am just disgusted and repulsed by a lot of what the standardized testing, what that's done and what it does to kids and teachers. But at the same time, if that's the reality, and if we're going to do it, if we have to do it, listen, man, we're going to win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's a part of what we do, if it has to be a part, like, I really want my scores to be great.
Yeah, and so I mean that's the whole, like, keep the end in mind. I mean, we know what the end is. The end is, yeah, we're gonna have to take a test. How you get there, though, that's up to every teacher in that classroom. And so I think that's where we see so much variation and variance in teaching, is like everyone ends up with the same end, right? We all have to give some test, but how we get there is so different and so unique in so many places. It's interesting to me, at least.
Hey man, let me ask you a question. What do you right now, when you're traveling around and you're talking with teachers and administrators, in terms of classroom leadership and also campus leadership, what are some of the things that you're seeing that you're currently really excited about?
So I love seeing teachers willing to break from just like, this is why we're supposed to, or this is what we're doing. Why? Because this is what we're supposed to do. So I see more questioning, and people are starting to challenge the status quo, and making sure that they're using the resources available and putting them into place when they can. The other thing that I love seeing, and again, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Todd here, because I know Todd is one of the greatest people of this, is but being mindful of the literature and the resources that you're using. Make sure that it's diverse, that it's representative. Give a shout out to one of my dear friends, Lanisha Tab. Lanisha is absolutely revolutionary in the work that she does, and she has a partner, Naomi O'Brien, as well. And the two of them have created so many resources and put out so much stuff to really make people think about the practices they're doing, the resources that they're using, and making sure that it's truly inclusive of not just the kids in your class, because you might teach in a place that's very homogeneous. And just because that is so doesn't mean that you just settle on what's in your class. You need to make sure that you're representing society and culture beyond just your classroom. And so that's one of the trends that I'm super excited about. And I see it more and more and more. I think social media has been a great tool for that.
I think one of my favorite things about social media is just as seeing. I think there's been a steep incline of trajectory in terms of effective leadership on campuses because of social media. I mean, because there's so many resources, and you can see what amazing principals are doing out there, and with Stephanie McConnell's Principals Leadership Group, and just, I mean, all those resources where, I mean, it's no longer theoretical knowledge of we're going to have to read a book on leader. Like, you can see pictures and
Mhm.
read their handout, read the letter they wrote to a parent, and the sharing of resources. I think there's been really just a dramatic increase in leadership effectiveness simply because of social media.
Well, social media has allowed us to take the philosophical and the theoretical and turn it into the practitioner. And through the pictures and the videos and all that that is available to us, we're able to see all those books that we read back in college about like these are best practices theoretically. Now we're able to see it, what it looks like in practice. And I think that's so powerful because I mean, let's be honest, educators are the best at stealing, and and that's okay in this. I love when people take my ideas I put out and use them. Honestly, I probably stole them from someone too. So
Yeah, for
we just
sure.
we steal and you know we are influenced by what we see, and that's great. I think if it's for the betterment of our profession and what's best for kids, take whatever you need.
Yeah, man. I always tell people when I work with schools, I give them tons of ideas from which they can pick. When I go on campus and I do my Be the One event for revolutionizing campus culture, I give a host of ideas, and we pick one that we're going to kick off. Is going to be an initiative, and I tell them a couple things. Here's the first one: you have to customize it and make it fit your campus and fit your people. Like,
Yeah.
just don't do it like I. That's how I did it. Doesn't mean that's how you need to do it. So let's customize it so it fits you. And then here's the other one, and I think this is a little shocking for some people at first, but I tell them the most effective schools in shifting campus culture oftentimes are the ones who gave up first. And what I mean is when they came across some sort of initiative and they gave it a shot and it didn't work.
Mhm.
What I have found, sometimes schools just go all in, and now they double down on what doesn't work, and they try it harder and they do it louder and they do it more, and it still isn't. It's just not a good fit for that campus. Rather than, hey man, let's cut our losses, let's give up, let's try something else, let's try something that's a better fit for us. I think sometimes we think there's some sort of a crime in that. What if it's okay if something's not a good fit? It's not a good fit. Let's find what is.
Yeah, I think sometimes ego gets in our way. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, I said we were going to do this, and you know, we were going to make this work, and sometimes it just doesn't, and that's okay. Like you said, you just got to cut your losses sometimes and move on, and that's fine.
Yeah. And sometimes it's that competitive nature too. Like, well, it's working so well for that school down the road.
Hmm.
We got to do it better than them. So we're gonna have to try it harder, do it longer, do it more. And it's still everything times zero is going to be zero. It's just not going to work for your campus. And that's fine. Let's find something that is going to work.
That's right. Yep.
Hey man, you mentioned Nessaloni, and let me tell you, I went to the spoke at his Celebrate Your Story conference.
Yeah,
Dude, that thing was powerful.
I
And
saw it.
it was great, man. And here's I love teachers telling their story for sure. And when you were talking about Nesloni sharing resources and like he's really good at that. All right, let me tell you what went down. So he's closing out the day. I do my thing, people do their thing, and I'm sitting off to the side and he gets going. And of course now he's on the furniture because he's the one dude that's taller than me, but he's still short. And I don't know anybody taller than me except for I mean, I don't know anybody shorter than me. He's close though. And so anyway, dude hops on the chair and he starts talking about his thing. And now here comes the slides. And like people start taking notes. Oh, I didn't know about that app, and they write that down.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know about that you could do on your computer, and they write that down. And then things get going. So, and then what I love watching is like one person sets their pen down because it's going like there's too much good stuff. Now the phone comes out and they start taking pictures of the
Yeah.
screen. Now everybody's phone, and now the whole room has their phone out, just taking pictures of every screen that goes by because it's all so good.
Yeah, I love that's been I'm like you. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I've seen the evolution, I guess, of note taking in
Yeah.
PDs. It used to be the write real fast, and then people for a few years were typing everything, and they still do to some extent. But now it's just
Yep.
which
Video.
I'm fine with. I mean, hey, whatever works for you.
Right. Hey
But
man,
yeah,
let's
Todd,
give away some stuff. You want to?
cool. Let's give it.
All right, man. Check this out. So these people are going to find out the big answer we all want to know, and that is, where do all these pencils go? The pencil eater. And let me tell you who won a book is Cool Cammy Russo Kenny won a book, and Fran Gillis gets a book, and so does Charlotte Sills. And by the way,
Congrats.
you should know, there's like, hundreds and hundreds of comments, but we put them in a randomizer, and whoever pops out, that's who pops out. And all right, so those people, and so to win, well, you won, but to claim your prize, just send a message to Help a Teacher Facebook. And all right, here comes here's some cards, man. $100 gift card. Thank goodness for Craig Newmark Philanthropies. Believes in teachers, love teachers, and man, I love that guy. I love that whole crew. Candace Frierson.
All right, Candace.
I'm so bad with names. Candace Frierson, and you message Help a Teacher Facebook page and claim your card. Gerald Brashear, $100, man. Target or Amazon, and
Nice.
Cody and Larisha Nelson. What a big night. You guys are splitting at $50 each, I guess. It's
Cool.
double up on the Facebook account. All right, man. Listen, thank you so much. Now, here's you don't know this, but what everybody knows that was there at the beginning was I had a goal. And by the end of our talk, we were going to be besties for the resties.
Yes.
And so how did I do? Are we friends
There,
now?
buddy.
Yeah.
There we go. Where's the camera? There we go. Fist bump there.
All right, man. So you guys are coming to Houston, and I live maybe 10 minutes from that venue. So maybe you and Todd and Rick's gonna be in town. We can hang out one night and just for a few minutes say hi.
We better.
Yeah.
I better see you there, man.
All right, cool. I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a great night. We love you guys. Later.